Hello, I'm Jolin for DraftMagic.com doing a full Scars block 8-4 draft, and this pick is quite well, actually, I didn't realize this was a foil rare. There are actually two pretty good options here. There's Active Aggression, which is, almost always going to be a 2-for-1, and we like 2-for-1s in Limited, I would assume. And then there's also the regular rare, which is, which is a clone except better in that it can become an artifact and you can, do it colorlessly and all that good things. So I almost just, quote unquote slammed Active Aggression. Not that you can really slam on Moto, but I'm actually not sure about that. Like, I've had this card in some past drafts, and if you don't end up red, you still play it, but it ends up being pretty hard to cast. 4 life is not irrelevant. And Metamorph seems a little easier to cast, and in the end, it's still relatively early in the format, and I haven't had Metamorph yet. And I have had Active Aggression, so it's time for a Metamorph. Alright, if this were Paper Magic, I would take this Mental Misstep, but last I checked, this isn't. And by last I checked, I mean I just checked, a Mental Misstep is not worth that much on Moto. So this pack is no cards as good as those first two. The best options here are Porcelain Legionnaire, just as another quote-unquote colorless card, and Solid Body. Mutagenic Growth is pretty good. Gremlin Mine is good. Solid Removal. This guy, I feel like, is pretty good. I mean, 6 is pretty prohibitive, but that's a cheap equip cost for the stats. Force Worship is okay in the kind of decks I like to draft, which is the slow defensive ones. This guy, I was talking about it briefly with Active Aggression. I've found that unless you're green, you don't really want to be playing this guy. 4 life actually does hurt a lot, especially if it gets bounced or just killed or what sort. So I think Legionnaire is the best pick from that pack. Now, keeping in mind that we are not a color yet, we have 2 cards that are basically colorless. I like this guy pretty well. 3/2, you'd normally expect to pay 3 or maybe 4 mana for it, and a Stone Rain is 3 mana, so you're getting kind of a bargain in the deal, even without the 2 damage ability. It's a solid card. I like Apostle's Blessing a lot. Phyrexia mana, any deck, etc., etc. But just 1 mana is a good, it's a good cheap trick. But I like removal, and this is, well, this and Leeching Bite are both removal. Again, it's still early in the format, and I actually haven't had a Shrine of Burning Rage yet. So I'm going to take the Shrine of Burning Rage. Because, removal. It's cool. Wow, there is some good stuff left in this pack. Artillerize is just awesome. You get it in the first pack, and then you get to build your deck around it. You get to pick up Wellsprings, you get to pick up Mearsire, you get to pick up Living Weapons, maybe Clone Shell, all that good stuff. Mutagenic Growth, always solid. This guy is also quite good if you're any sort of infect. Can't quite chump block this one. And Tumor Exarch is also really good. But I think I like Artillerize the best here. And I think 4th pick Artillerize is a sign that red may be open. See, look at all this open redness. This seems pretty unrealistic and limited. This one's okay. It just draws you a card. It's a cheap artifact. I like pretty much all the splicers. This is my least favorite of all of them, but I still play it because they're all pretty good. The only other consideration for me in this pack is Psychic Barrier. As I said, I tend to draft these slow control type decks, and a lot of other people are doing that in this format too. And if you're in a control battle, you want to be the guy with counter spells. That gives you a pretty good advantage. And I like this counter spell better than Sensor Splicer or Victorious Destruction or the Shrine, anything in that pack. This pack is very strong for having 5 cards missing. Like I said, I like Psychic Barrier. Implant is a turn-delayed removal, but it's still removal. It still does what it wants to. I like this guy a lot in my decks. This is just a Solid Body. This is a quite good trick. And this card is better than I think people realize yet. Again, if this format comes with, long grinding out games, this effect is really powerful. I'm really not sure what I want to take here. There is a lot of green. So my only colored cards so far are Psychic Barrier and Artillerize. Artillerize is easily splashed. I think Beast Within is the most flexible card from that pack. Oh, Alloy Mirror. That's what I like to see in my decks where I might end up having to splash something or other. Not a fan of a lot of this pack. This guy, yeah, it doesn't do much. Vapor Snag's okay, but I'm going to take this opportunity to make sure I pick up a Blessing. Yeah, see? Gotta take your opportunity. Discard one, yeah. It's very expensive. Chain Throat Seeker. I guess if you have a Bladed Agent, this guy is pretty big, but you can't necessarily give him the first poison counter. Maybe off a Virulent Wound or some such, but I mean, it is also just a very beefy ground blocker, and I don't want 2 Apostles' Blessing or any of these other cards, so yeah, I'll take that guy. He can block. Not sure on my colors still, obviously. I have a lot of flexibility still. I'm going to take this Force Worship. It's kind of removal, and I'm going to take this guy because he's good, and I don't know why he's there that late. He's not amazing, but he probably should go earlier than that. This guy could be annoying. I've played this guy, sometimes you just need a Crawworm. I've played this guy, sometimes you just need a Giant Cockroach. Like, there's nothing wrong with things that are just bodies. Cards don't necessarily have to do things. If you get enough removal, just guys with high power will get it done for you. And, 4 power still does pretty well on defense. Powerful pack here. The rare is quite solid. I haven't even touched black yet, though. I've touched every color except black. Got 2 white artifact removal spells in Divine Offering and Relic Warder. Got Frangor Marauder, which is always awesome. Got a red pseudo removal thing in Shaman. Got a blue flyer. Got a big Quilled Slagworm. Got very good equipment in Viridian Claw and a solid equipment in Husk. There is a lot of good stuff in this pack. I should table something or other. Unfortunately, none of this good stuff is good enough to clearly determine a direction for my deck. So my colored cards so far are Barrier, Warship, Beast Within, Artillerize, and other random garbage. Not garbage, but not great stuff. I don't think Sangromancer is really the card to take here. I don't know if I want to take white. I didn't really get any white. I'm going to take the Marauder. It's very splashable, and Frangor Marauder is awesome. Oh, I saw the Venalkin Anatomist, and I was like, yes. Then I saw Spine of Ishad, and I was like, yes. Spine is pretty awesome with Artillerize. But Anatomist is more likely to just dominate a game. As much as I love Spine, Anatomist is definitely the card in here that's most likely to just win a game. I am so sad to not take that Spine, though. So sad. And now I'm going to get a 3rd pick into the core, so things maybe I'm blue-red, splash a couple random green cards? And of course now the best card in this pack is green, which is the Malira's Keepers. But I believe I want to be blue. And I'm not confident I want to splash too many green cards, if anything. So I'm going to take this Oculus. Anytime I have a judgment call like that, it usually comes back to bite me, so I'm sure I'm going to end up green and lose to Infect because I don't have Malira's Keepers. Not green, and Peace Strider is just the best card in this pack. Better than Ogre Resistor. Gaining 3 life is pretty awesome when your deck is slow. Steel Sabotage, no problems with this one. Again, better than Ogre Resistor. And Quicksilver Geyser, so this pack's going pretty well. Picking up a lot of good stuff. Don't have too much of a win condition yet. Have a splashed Fangrum Marauder, that's like a win condition. Oh yeah, Shrine of Burning Rage, just build it up to 20. Boom. Oh, there's a win condition too, Titan Forge. I've sided that card in control matchups. I still haven't main decked it ever. I'm tempted to take the Forge, but I think Oculus is still a better pick here. I just want to artillerize some Oculus. Will be awesome. Not as awesome as artillerizing an Ichor Wellspring, but still pretty awesome. Or a Clone Shell, depending on what's under the Clone Shell. And this pack is still good. Still has this awesome Quilled Slagworm, but I found a win condition! This guy flies! Hooray! Ah, second Quicksilver Geyser. Nice. Bunch of random dorks. Forest Walk can get there sometimes. Random 5/4 Trampler can get there sometimes, but I already have a Crawlworm. Actually, yeah, I have this Crawlworm already. There's a win condition right there. I don't see this Throat Seeker happening. I have enough other stuff going on, and I don't have any way to even get the first counter on. So I'm glad I went for the blue. Those were very late Serum Raker and Quicksilver Geyser. And the normal chaff making out the back of the pack. Now I'm probably going to open like a Sunblast Angel or something. Which there's no way I could possibly play. Nope, Proliferate. Oh, got 2 good options here. I like Arc Trail. Slightly better than Turn to Slag. Not as much better as you might think, but slightly better. Got 3 good removal spells and then a bunch of Infect things in this pack. But I found that Infect cards really go late now. No one wants to be Infect. This pack, not so exciting. For anyone, really. I don't think I can Furnace Celebrate. Snap Seal Glider is never going to be metal crafted. Well, Lifestaff is actually probably okay in this deck with double Oculus. Makes it actually do something. Or maybe Invisimancer. Invisimancer is a win condition. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Invisimancer here. Trinket Mage gets nothing. Iron Mirror gives me manas. I also like Trigon of Thought, but I want more manas. I hate every time the Scars pack comes around because we've drafted this pack so often, there's really not much interesting to say about these cards, and in addition, the Scars pack is typically just weaker than the other packs. Oh, wow. Well, I say typically just weaker, and then this pack still has a Galvanic Blast, a Perilous Mirror, and a Razor Hippogriff. And a Stoic Rebuttal, which I do want to pick up a Stoic Rebuttal, but, I mean, there's a Galvanic Blast. Though Perilous Mirror might actually be better in this deck, as weird as it is to say. Galvanic Blast is never metal crafted. Perilous Mirror does a little better job of holding off multiple creatures than a Galvanic Blast does. Galvanic Blast, of course, takes care of evasion creatures much better. Decisions. Looking at my things, see if there's any reason to favor one over the other. Oh yeah, I have Artillerize. Yeah, I'm taking this Perilous Mirror. Oh, this pack's pretty good too. Another Trinket Trigon run and another Iron Mirror. I thought immediately after I say the Scars pack is probably the weakest, I have all these hard decisions to make about cards I actually want. I think it's probably too late for Trinket Mage shenanigans. Don't know if I want another Iron Mirror. This deck, I don't think it needs mana acceleration that badly. Though I do have a lot of double red cost and some double blue. It might help out. Yeah, it's still going to help my mana. And I don't know that I'm going to play the green actually at this point. What? 6th pick Trigon? What? Alright. Like I said, this pack is just mocking me for claiming that Scars is weaker. Take a Scrappy. There's a win condition. Maybe I can splash Beast Within and Fangor Marauder. I already have quite a bit of cards that I consider, quite a few cards that I consider very playable. I mean, there's nothing else in this pack, so I don't have to make that decision quite yet. Bullshock Replica, I'll get it done. Another Scrappy. This one's foil. That makes it better. There are going to be decisions to be made in deck building. Guess I didn't get that Stoic Rebuttal, which is unfortunate. Now my only counters are for a creature and an artifact. And I lost a draft recently to Asceticism, so... I mean, I guess sometimes you just can't have the answer to everything. Cool, I got a land last pick. I didn't end up with all that much red, though there was that late Galvanic Blast that I didn't even take. Alright. Cards I am definitely going to play. Whoa, I didn't mean that one. I'm not definite on that Volshock Replica yet. Where's that guy? I'm not definite on the Apostle's Blessing yet. This deck is going to have a lot of good cards that I might play. Yeah, this is already 21 with a lot of good cards in the sideboard right now and not splashing anything. I think I still want 17 lands, and I don't think I need to mess up my mana for Fangor Marauder and Beast Within. But if I run up against a deck with something like Asceticism, then I can always side it in. Just to have an answer. So I want 17 lands almost always, so I want 2 more cards. So they're probably going to be big creatures. I don't think I want one of them to be a Volshock Replica. Volshock Replica is not going to win me the game potentially by itself, like, say, a Scrap Diver Serpent will, especially when the Scrap Diver Serpent is foil. That makes it better in case it wasn't clear. Now I'm between Invisimancer and one of my red 6-drops. I think Invisimancer's going to get the nod, and I'm going to side it out against decks that can easily do 1 damage to a creature. Alright, so I have all these cards that usually make my deck in the sideboard. Random 6-drops do indeed almost usually make my deck. And there's also I'm also not playing the Apostle's Blessing. My curve seems fine, much better than my decks usually are. Oh yeah, this guy should be over here. Even better. This is actually a much better curve than my decks usually have. I usually got a bunch of 5-drops, bunch of 6-drops. What are these things that cost 2 mana? I don't understand. I'm actually considering changing the Scrappy for one of the red 6-drops. No, I'm gonna keep it. I like Scrappy. I like Scrappy more than most people. So let's look at our manas. We have double Iron Mirror, which helps quite a bit. I can almost certainly get away with 7 Mountain, 10 Island. Oh, I have this Ally Mirror too. It's actually pretty easy to splash. If I splash, I'd feel compelled to play the Horizon Spellbomb too, and then I'd probably go down to 16 land. Yeah, actually, I think I like that. Well, that still kind of messes up my colors. I think I'm going to play it a little safer mana-wise in the main deck, and then change it up, sideboarding as appropriate.